Hello everyone. This is DelVecchio with Return of the Priestess and the Return of the Priestess Community. And I'm really pleased to be here with you today to introduce you to another sister priestess in our community. Her name is Jessica Porter, and our theme today is Weaving a Life of Meaning. So I'm very excited to explore the creative aspect of literally and symbolically weaving what it is we want into our lives. So Jessica, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And it's great to have you part of our private community. And you are a priestess in your own right and a healer of several modalities, master teacher of several modalities. And that's perhaps an interview for another time. But today we're going to talk about this art form that's come into your life more recently, having been an artist for most of your life, of weaving and meaningful weaving, or what you call story loom and story loom leader. So, would you tell us a little bit? First of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, your priestess path, and your artist path, and then we're going to dive into the weaving and the loom, the story loom art form of weaving that you use in your life.
Okay. So I was guided about 2015 to dive into the goddess study. So I did my first transition into being a priestess and then a high priestess through the Sisters of Celebration. And now I'm in my transition of becoming a Magdalene priestess through the Ahava University. And I am also a healer and a weaver. Of course, art has always been a huge part of my life. Although it took transition and, it uh, kind of was put on a back burner for a while. And then at a Reiki retreat, I was introduced to weaving a life. And when I saw the loom, the story loom, I just was like, I need to get my hands on that and learn. And so it kind of came that I ended up getting my story loom or weaving a life circle leadership training. And I did my story loom, which are two different looms. And so now I can share and teach this. And I have woven all 7 key forms about 3 times. And each time I have worked with each key form, something new has come into my life, or, I've seen something different. So this is something not just to explore once. You can explore this many times in your life, because
So,
of, each stage in our life is different.
yeah. So before we get into the concept of key form, give us the overarching view. Well, maybe we need to know what that is. What is a story loom? What is this process? Just give us the broad strokes, and then how does this concept of key form come into it?
Um, the story loom, so the key forms are created on a smaller loom, on a journey loom. So the journey loom is smaller. Your story loom is bigger, and actually it stands. And so I take this out into the communities. I've actually went to a Relay for Life where everyone there had the opportunity to weave their story on the loom, and it was gifted to the Relay for Life team, or the people
Okay,
there.
but
So
I want to get like
that
I, we have a time delay
more
here,
the
but
key form for
I want to get the understanding of the bigger purpose and function here of like what does it mean to weave your story? Like give us why would anyone want to do this in the first place? Give us that 30,000-foot view first.
okay. Um, that would be so to weave your story would be to allow you to connect to your inner self, who you are,
Got it.
connecting to your truth, um, creating more balance in your life, creating more wholeness in your world. Um, And
And
each key form,
and do you do this
go
through
on.
different colors, different give me the picture, like, so that paint the picture for me so I understand what it
Okay.
is you're actually doing.
So we've got the 7 key forms. So each
Okay.
key form um, holds a different aspect of life from conception to death. So we
Okay.
go through the amulet setting intention. We have the bowl. We have the doll that connects to the inner self, your inner goddess. You have your belt of power. What's your power? Do you connect to your own inner power? We have the mask. You know, um, do you express yourself? Do you show yourself? Do you hide yourself? You know, so we have the mask. We have the sacred bundle of all of the little tools that we hold in our life that we use, that we can put in this sacred bundle to give us stability in our life. And then we have the shawl, which is the last key form, and it connects with death. And that shawl is woven in 10 different pieces. And, you know, all these key forms can be woven into the colors that are you're drawn to. Because
Mm.
in each key form, we go through a meditation, we go through a little experience for you to connect, to
Ah,
see what colors are coming to you. So each one is going to be very unique, and it holds a representation of your life. And so the last one's a shawl, and there's 10 woven pieces on it. And when I did mine, I did my 10 golden moments. And of course, I'm not that old, but I had 10 golden moments. And it just turned out so beautifully. And it's something that actually I have in my hope chest, but it's something that at my death, it can be a symbol of this is part of her life. This is what she's
mm.
done. So um
Okay.
it's a beautiful journey to really connect to who you are and finding that wholeness of who you are.
Beautiful. So each of these key forms, then, like let's say the doll, you're literally weaving a doll and you have a meditative experience or a journey experience first to get the sort of download. And then you
Yes.
create the loom and weave with, could be any ribbons, yarn, whatever fibers feel right for you.
Yeah.
And you literally then
Yes.
have a doll that represents whatever that journey reflected for you. Beautiful.
Yes.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So thank you. And I'm sorry I interrupted, but I really wanted to get like clarity about this because not being a fiber artist, to me, it's all I think of are the gigantic looms I've seen in Southeast Asia, and I can't like get my head around it. So this is beautiful. So I would think that this is it's a sacred practice, and it's a practice, as we called it, weaving a life of meaning, that you could actually infuse your intentions into any of these different key forms, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So that
And
you're
we start with the amulet. So
uh,
when we do the amulet, we connect with that first intention of what you want to bring forth through this journey. And then each piece just, I don't know, it just grows and it evolves. And it is a beautiful process.
wow. So what have you noticed in your journey going through this? Like, is there a story you could share with us of a shift that happened that for you that is from having been doing this practice of weaving a life of meaning?
Well, the belt of power. I will share this because I've woven 3 belts of power, and the first one, I really didn't know what to put in it, and I all I could think of was my my knife, because women would have a belt that would cut you know, you would, as a priestess, cut cords. If you're out in the garden cutting herbs, you had your belt. And so that was my first one. And then my second one, when I did my training, what came to me was part of my power was my meditation beads. So my meditation beads. So then I created a I created some beads that I put in my belt as my power source, because that was how I was receiving my power, was through my meditations. And then the last key form, the last time I did the belt, I was doing my priestess work, and my wand came to me, and I created a wand probably about like that, and it has a clear quartz crystal, and I put, you know, a wire around it to hold it secure. And that is my power to invoke, to clear, to write sacred codes. So it's very interesting how that key form especially really evolved and grew, and how I grew with it. So
Oh, great
yeah.
story. And that even illustrates even more the practice of this weaving. This is a beautiful, um, beautiful way to literally bring your soul's spiritual power into physical form symbolically. And I'm guessing that you perhaps do the weaving in meditation. Do you do mantras or anything while you're making it?
I was um usually when I am weaving, I am in a very receptive space. I feel it's very, very meditative for me. Like, I know my husband will be working on pieces, and he will say to me, that must have taken a lot of thought. And I said, no, it flows, and I just go with it. You know, and then I can look back, and I step back from a piece, and it's like, you know, oh my gosh, I can't believe that came through. I mean, it is just a beautiful, beautiful process. So it is very, very meditative. It's very peaceful. It's relaxing. So I
Yeah.
do enjoy it. It is part of my meditation practice too. So
Yeah. Now, what's coming to mind for me is there are a couple of sister priestesses in this community who are trained in I don't know what it's called, but it's like a meditative art process where you do 13 layers of a painting. And like Patty
mm-hmm.
is one of them, and Tamara is another. And it's the similar thing. There's meditations, there's journeys, and there's layers, and there could be different materials, not just paint, let's say. And so this is really interesting to me because I'm seeing art and spirit collide here, or reintegrate, let's say. And when I think about, there's that thing I say that we're created in the likeness and image of the divine, which is, eternally loved and totally safe. And there's a few things I say, but one of them is omnipotently creative. But we've been miscreating in our unconsciousness for so long now. So I'm really, I don't feel inclined so much as a material artist. However, I'm really, really appreciating the way art is moving from this sort of space for artists who have talents into the space of inspired creativity, and they're coming together in different ways. And this is a perfect example of that. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about, or maybe speak to those of us who feel really like, well, I don't know how to weave. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Do I need to take classes on that first? Or like, how are you literally physically doing it? You had, before we got on camera, you talked about making a loom out of a book or something. So talk a little about the art, weaving for the fumbling.
um you can do you can weave on anything. Anyone can weave. You can take a notebook and just warp the threads. We warp. and then we have our weft that goes, back and forth. And so there, you can use a notebook. You can use I've used frames. I've used picture frames. I've
Ah,
taken picture frames and nailed across to make warp. You don't necessarily need, to purchase a journey loom. So you can use, you can, if you've got a slab of wood, you can use that. You can use a notebook. You could, you can use, be creative with it, with weaving. And then what's being called to you, with I use all different fibers. I
uh-huh.
use fabric. I use Japanese paper.
Oh,
um I I did a piece for a friend of mine that I took photograph on fiber, and I weaved that in. Like, you can
wow.
get creative. Nothing, and no piece is meant to be perfect. I had someone say to me, "Oh, my piece isn't perfect," and I'm like, "It's not supposed to be, because it's part of you."
Yeah.
So there's no perfection. Art is not about being perfect at all. So, but I read something about, the energy, because I had a friend of mine that taught that, I got done with this one piece, and she went next, close to it. She could feel the energy of this piece. And I said, well, you're not just weaving, you're putting your energy in it. It's all about energy,
Yeah.
so but yeah, no piece is perfect. You can use any material. When I do a story loom outside for the different seasons, we weave with what's in nature. We take plants,
I was going to
flowers,
ask.
tree limbs,
Oh,
branches,
wow.
we're
Wow.
weaving grasses, and offering that to the earth. So, I mean, it's all about being creative and using what you have. I mean, yes, I have a stockpile of yarn and all kinds of stuff, but
Yeah.
I let everything come to me. It's very, very intuitive, and we're all intuitive. We're all intuitive. We're all creative in our own
Mm,
form. So,
yeah.
and we
Beautiful.
need to not be afraid of that.
This is great. And so, is there like a ceremonial process or a blessing process that happens, or do you like, let's say you take, I don't have any, well, I have my hair tie. Let's say this is a piece that's long and but it represents something meaningful for me, like my moon time. It's red. Not that I have that anymore, but would I do a blessing on it or an intention before I weave it in, or how would it work?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've put beads in my pieces, putting crystal stones in, with what intention that is. So, oh, absolutely. And
Mm.
I like to, before each class that I would teach, we open sacred space. We call in, because it is sacred, and doing a beautiful ceremony after, when we get done with the shawl, because that is, part of you. So, doing a like an initiation ceremony afterwards and then you have all these key forms to put on your altar, create an altar space for these pieces, and you know and then when you need a piece, put it on your altar, so
Mm.
it's a reminder of, hey, I need to connect with my power. Oh, I need my sacred bundle. Like, what is it that I need to work with? What is in here that I really need right now? So there's these different key forms that are containers for us
Oh,
to represent what we need in our life. So
that's great. So when you teach, you take people on a journey through all of the key forms, is that right? Okay, so how long does that
yeah.
take? How long is a course with you?
Um, I'm still kind of processing all that, but because each key form should take about 2 weeks, but I found some people need longer. So I'm very flexible when it comes to, because I want each person, because it's personal
Yeah.
and depending on what's going on in your life. So I usually just, sometimes it could take us a year, sometimes it could
Uh,
take us 6 months.
uh-huh.
Um, so it just depends on what's going on, I think, with the person. And I work one-on-one. So
Yeah.
which I love that.
And
So
do
yeah.
you work on Zoom? Like if anyone was really is captured by this who sees this interview, can they work with you even if they don't live near you?
Yes.
Great.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
And you'll help
Zoom
them
or by phone.
and you
Oh
can
yeah.
help
And
guide
now
them
that we
through making looms and
oh,
stuff.
oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be very even in my when I teach my energy classes, I'm very hands-on with them. Like if you're having a problem, I'm here. I'm always here to answer questions or concerns, or if you need guidance of like, okay, this is getting a little, sometimes our warping will, get a little, thin, will get a little hourglass. So, there's little things that I can guide and teach
Uh-huh.
during that time. So,
Beautiful.
yes.
Beautiful. So, well,
Yeah.
this is really wonderful. And I really love bringing forward and sharing and discovering these different ways where art is intersecting with our divine holy power as creator beings. And this is really interesting to me because there's that hands-on, and the variety of textures and stuff. So I'm going to look into it more after we finish this call. But for those who are interested, how could they find out more about you? Do you have a website?
Um, yes, I have a website. It is Sacred Heart Healing and Weaving Studio.com. So
Okay.
I also have on there, I have a Weaving a Life part on there, and I also have some of my fiber art for sale on my website also. So you can check that also out also. See
Okay,
what
great.
I've
And
created.
say that website again.
Sacred Heart Healing and Weaving Studio.com.
Great. Sacred Heart Healing and Weaving Studio.com. Beautiful. Any final
Yes.
thoughts, Jessica, before we end for today?
Um, I think everyone needs to just really know that you are a very creative person, and in any aspect, whether you're guided to weave or paint or draw, but we're all creative beings in some shape or form. So I hope that this might inspire you to really um, connect to your heart to see how your creative spirit is calling you to. So
Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you so
thank
much, all
you.
of you who watch this, and I wish you all the best with all of your beautiful healing and creative work in the world. And again, Sacred Heart Healing and Weaving Studio.com if you want to find out more and weave your own uh, life of meaning. Thank you, everyone. Mwah. Have a beautiful day, and we will see you again on the next interview.